Who's doing these experiments?
Reptilian humanoid beings, the small grays.
You're saying there are terrestrial reptilians down there, and there are gray aliens down there, and there are humans who are willingly helping to perform experiments on other humans down there.
Why are you
that is a nightmare.
Why are you so shocked at humans performing other experiments on humans?
I'm trying to separate fantasy from reality here.
When you absorb all of the Dulce information, you have to ask yourself, do you dare risk doing research on mice where if you could use a human being, you could advance your research by 30 years?
I just want to think about right now, is there a base? Is it possible?
Back in June 11th, 1972, in the LA Times, the lead physicist for the RAND Corporation, he said that in 1972, the government had the technology to excavate tunnels across the United States and put maglev trains in that were capable of doing 10 to 14,000 miles an hour. Now, this is not science fiction. We have the capability to do it. These are U.S. patents by Los Alamos National Laboratories talking about thermonuclear boring machines that melt through rock just like you're taking a knife through butter. People keep thinking rock is hard, you have to break it down. That's what we've been misled to believe when it comes to tunneling.
There are millions of patents, and very, very few of them actually make it to production. A lot of them don't even work. Is there anything that actually says these are real thermonuclear boring machines?
I went to Bechtel in Las Vegas, Nevada, and put in subterrene, which is what they called one of these, a subterrene, into their computer system. These are images of the subterrene being tested up at Los Alamos Scientific Laboratories. The actual boring tips get superheated and they melt through solid rock. There's no excavation of materials that are needed. The rock penetrates, cracks, and presses liquid molten glass up through a lining all the way around it. In the early 1970s, there are plans for a network of underground tube shuttles. There are tube shuttle systems leading out of the base.
So we have these tunnels under the United States now. You're saying this is a reality?
Absolutely.
In order for me to even get close to believing this, I need more video, I need testimony, I need photographs, I need some physical evidence that any of this is going on.
These revelations from John Rhodes are certainly explosive. In fact, they're monumental. But as an investigator, I have to entertain other possibilities. I have to look at what else could be happening at the Dulce base. So we will meet with Norio Hayakawa, a researcher who will give us some alternate theories about what might be going on at the Dulce base.
In 1990, I brought a Japanese television crew right here in Dulce. We wanted to know what was going on. And strangely enough, we were arrested and detained actually by the police chief. We asked him why we were detained, and he didn't want to tell us anything. We asked him about the Dulce base, and he said he didn't want to talk about it.
So he didn't confirm or deny?
He didn't confirm or deny.
That smacks to me of some kind of a cover-up. What were they trying to hide?
How long have these stories about Dulce been going on?
Well, this whole Dulce rumor started in the mid-70s when cattle mutilation started taking place in this area, and then later on rumors started circulating around that there is an alien base.
So do you think that's part of the cover-up, what's in the base?
There's something going on in Dulce. The sightings and cattle mutilations are facts.
We're on our way for a meeting with Gabe Valdez, a retired New Mexico State police officer. Gabe investigated cattle mutilations 20 years ago, in which cattle, seemingly healthy, are killed, and then the soft tissue is excised from their bodies. We hope he'll share whatever he learned with us.
In my profession, you have to focus on physical evidence. And the physical evidence that we found doesn't come from outer space.
Can you tell us what you found?
Gas masks, monitoring instruments, radar shaft, and helicopter activity.
Finally, something tangible, and from a New Mexico State trooper, no less. This is a story from Dulce that I can get behind.
But I found out they were coming in marking the cattle ahead of time, and then later on they'd hit him with a tranquilizer, and then they'd take the lymph nodes out of it.
The lymph nodes were consistent from each mutilation
Each one.
case.
Then they would take more stuff out to kind of confuse people.
And what about this argument that it's just coyotes or ants or some wild animal that's killing the cattle?
Coyotes don't wear gas masks.
They're doing testing on cattle, and it's very apparent because he's found evidence. He has tangible things such as a gas mask, glow sticks, some sort of devices. It points to humans, not aliens.
Were your people able to ever figure out what this research is about?
We suspect that it's not disclosable.
It's not the extraterrestrials, Gabe said. It's us. But who? The government? The military? Some unknown shadow government organization? Gabe wouldn't tell us.
Who would be keeping this a secret?
Well, because of the consequences.
Gabe said the consequences would be too dangerous.
We're taking pictures of a lot of helicopter activity in the area. These were just taken 10 days ago.
I think that if there was some kind of secretive organization operating here, they wouldn't have a huge emblem or logo on the side of their helicopter.
The aliens are so advanced in technology, why do they leave all these physical evidence behind?
We have alternate opinions now on whether there are UFOs and extraterrestrials, or whether the craft, the unknown lights people are seeing, are really unconventional aircraft that we're using. We have to get more evidence.
We could tell where the aircraft came to. They didn't do the whole process. This is what we found inside the fetus of a mutilated cow.
But it was not a cow fetus.
Some part of it was, and the other wasn't.
What are we looking at here? Is this a head?
The cow where it was mutilated, whole inside is gone, cleaned out.
Gabe Valdez is giving us a whole new approach to the cattle mutilations he investigated. His investigation told him these were not extraterrestrials at all, but he actually saw military helicopters over these mutilation sites.
During your years of investigating cattle mutilations, what is the most anomalous evidence you came across?
Well, they mutilated this animal about 40 miles east of here, and we could tell where the aircraft came to. They didn't do the whole process, and they left a fetus inside the animal.
A fetus?
Yeah.
A fetus? A cow fetus?
No, it looked like a human, a monkey, and a frog. It didn't have any bones in the head. It was all full of water.
What was the size of this fetus?
Probably about 42 inches long, but something went wrong with whatever they were doing.
What you're implying is that that cow is being used as an incubation chamber for a cloned creature.
Exactly.
My God.
What are we looking at here? Is this a head?
That's the front part is the head.
This is bizarre.
And was this open when you found it?
Yeah, it was open.
These are amazing photographs, and it's incredible that this kind of evidence was even left behind. But I'm still not convinced that this is the result of some sort of exotic testing going on at an underground base here in Dulce.
And are these the eyes?
Yes. We really had to retrieve them back in order to see them.
So there are eyes underneath
Yeah,
that fur skin going on.
Look at the ear.
That's an ear?
Yeah, that's the ear. It's an ear of the human.
What happened to the fetus?
We took it and had it analyzed. It was very confusing to the veterinarians.
Did the vet identify anything as human in that fetus?
Yeah, I think he could tell the eyes were.
Honestly, this just looks like some crazy genetic experiment gone completely wrong.
Yes.
Right.
It's madness. This is madness.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. There are cows born with 8 legs and 2 faces. I mean, this could just be some sort of a birth defect.
But they're cows, Pat. They have hooves, they have cuds.
I would say acute deformity.
Where do you have a human-shaped head on a cow?
Well,
the fetus photos were horrifying. This was definitely some kind of a monstrosity. I can't say for a fact whether this is the result of some kind of genetic hybrid experiment or merely a genetic mutation, maybe even just a birth defect.
What Gabe is telling us says that there's a lot going on here that would require some sort of facility to operate out of. If that's the case, Dulce, New Mexico is still a prime candidate for this underground base, and I still want to find it.
There was a whole busload of kids that morning, and we all saw it. I remember little kids were screaming. The little girls were rushing to the head of the bus, and they were holding onto the cloak of the priest. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was looking at a flying disc. My name is Darren Vigil Gray, and I've seen a UFO come from the area of Archuleta Mesa.
We're here at the base of Archuleta Mesa to meet with archaeologist Garth Baldwin to discuss the geological makeup of the mesa and see if it's even possible that an underground base could be built here.
Garth, we're here at the base of the Archuleta Mesa, inside of which there's reputed to be a top-secret base for genetic engineering. I guess the question for all of us is, what kind of engineering would it take to have created such a base inside the Earth? Can you tell us about the rock formations and what kind of rock we're dealing with?
Up on the mountain where you do find soil, it's between 1 foot and less, and then it's just bedrock. The upper strata up there that you can see exposed is a columnar basalt. That's much too fragmentary for any kind of drilling or anything else. It makes great fence posts, but it wouldn't necessarily support being ground out inside. But below that, there's layers of basalt that are more structurally sound. There's also sandstones below that.
It sounds like top layer, very, very difficult to drill through.
They'd have to start at the bottom of the mesa or near the bottom of the mesa where there's a stable strata of rock that they could get into.
Let's just say you were hired by the government to design an underground base. Would there be any reason for you to pick Archuleta Mesa?
It's a mesa, so you've got a starting point where you know where the stratigraphic layers of rock are, so you've got a structure to begin with.
According to the specifications that we've been given for this base,
how much of a diameter does this have right here?
The base can extend up to 4.87 miles.
4.8 miles, is that correct?
4.8 miles diameter.
That's the diameter of the base.
That's about the size of the mesa. That would fit within the structure that you're talking about.
Garth is telling us that Archuleta Mesa actually has the size to house something of this magnitude. And while I don't necessarily believe yet that there is a base inside the mesa, it's good to know that the possibility of it being there is real. It's conceivable that they're coming in through tunnels and actually drilling out the space for this underground base from the bottom up.
If that technology were true, then that would be possible. The human species has such a knowledge of mining and structural engineering that I'm not surprised by anything that our engineers can do.
I'm really happy to hear Garth's feedback about what the makeup of the mesa, and it does seem like he thinks it is possible to have an underground base there, even given the massive size of this thing.
Garth said he didn't know what kind of technology we had that can do this kind of drilling in an expeditious way, but John Rhodes showed us that technology exists today. Therefore, it's quite possible we are standing in the shadow of the Dulce base.
I really want to find a vent. That's really what I want to find. I'm gonna have to get a better look at that.
It's a 14-mile underground tunnel that goes under that mountain there.
Yes.
Something had come over the car, some object, 3 red lights in a triangular shape. I'm JRTQ, and I seen an identified flying object here in the Hickory Apache Reservation.
So as we've conducted our investigation here in Dulce, we've heard a lot of interesting stories, but we're still left with a question mark. And naturally, that leads our investigation to one place, Archuleta Mesa itself. It's treacherous and it's dangerous, so for safety reasons, just Pat and I are going to go there, and we're going to see what we can discover.